In decades of investigating the supernatural, the famous paranormal duo Ed and Lorraine Warren had seen nearly every kind of case imaginable. But in 1986, the haunting of the Smurl family in the suburbs of Pennsylvania would devastate their lives. The evil entity that plagued the Smurls was unlike anything the Warrens had ever encountered, and it would eventually bring their careers to a chilling end. This movie is based on the true story of the Smurl family. Now, let's step into the most awaited entry of the horror franchise, Conjuring 4, Last Rites. Once again, we see Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga return to the big screen as the legendary Warren couple. The movie begins in 1964, when a young Ed and Lorraine are investigating their very first paranormal case. An antique shop owner, a young woman, calls upon the Warrens for help, claiming her shop is haunted. Her father had often told her that the doors opened by themselves every night and that he felt an ominous presence whispering to him in the darkness. At first, she dismissed it as her father's old age, until the day she discovered him hanging in the shop. Not long after, she began to experience the same sinister presence, eyes watching her, whispers in the shadows, just as her father had described. Listening to the young woman's story, Ed and Lorraine immediately sense a presence and begin their investigation. While searching the antique shop, Lorraine is drawn toward a large mirror. In its reflection, we see Lorraine is fully pregnant. Suddenly, she sees the reflection of the hanging man behind her. She reaches out to touch the mirror, but as her fingers graze its surface, the glass cracks. In that instant, her own reflection twists into a dark, ghostly version of herself, grinning menacingly. Lorraine is thrust into a terrifying vision, disturbing scenes of her unborn child struggling in her womb. She collapses in agony, clutching her stomach. Panicked, Ed rushes her to the hospital through the pouring rain. Even through her pain, Lorraine whispers to Ed about the dark presence inside the mirror. In the delivery room, complications arise. The umbilical cord is strangling the baby. As the doctor struggles, Lorraine sees a creepy figure lurking above the ceiling watching her, which frightens her, and she calls Ed to her side. After a frantic effort, the baby is delivered. But the room falls silent. The baby isn't crying. Both nurses and doctor were sad and told them that the baby was born dead. Hearing this shatters both Ed and Lorraine's heart, but they didn't give up and prayed to God for their baby's life. It feels like the darkens from that mirror cause this still bright, which affects their baby. Suddenly, like a divine intervention, a miracle happens. The baby starts to cry and Warren couples hug the baby with tears of joy. They named their daughter Judy Warren. Life with their newborn daughter is bliss. Watching her grow into a beautiful little girl fills their days with joy. But one day, Judy comes to them sobbing, saying she sees terrifying things that won't go away. Realizing that Judy has inherited Lorraine's clairvoyant gift, she doesn't want her daughter to suffer from the fear, and she teaches Judy a little song which can suppress that gift. She wants Judy to hum the song whenever she encounters those things again. 22 years later, 1986. We meet the happy Smurl family from Pennsylvania living with their 4 daughters. One of their daughters, Heather, is celebrating her birthday with her family, opening gifts while they capture the wonderful moments in the video. She opens the present from her grandparents, a huge mirror with a little crack on it. They didn't know yet, but we can see it is the same mirror from the starting scene of the movie. Grandma tells she found such a beautiful mirror is dumped out in the street, while Grandpa assures them he can fix the crack. Soon the birthday cake was bought up and Heather excitedly leans in to blow the candles, but they snuff off before she even blows, which shocks everyone. Suddenly the light on the ceiling fell on Heather, which she narrowly escaped. The scene cuts to the Warrens, now older, speaking in an auditorium. Due to Ed's heart problems, they've retired from active investigations, focusing instead on lectures about demonic possession. They were explaining the Annabelle case, but only a handful of people attend, and some mock them. Judy went with them to a restaurant. The family of 3 talks about how it feels bad when people don't take them seriously. But Judy comforts them and supports their work, which lightens the mood. She also talks about Ed's birthday and plans to celebrate her dad's birthday, and also invites her boyfriend, Tony, to meet her parents. Suddenly, Lorraine notices Judy go quiet. Her daughter begins to softly hum the song Lorraine taught her years ago. Judy is seeing something. Without a word, Lorraine takes Judy's hand, steadying her, silently assuring her that she's not alone. At the Smurl's house, Mother Janet is tidying her daughter's room, gathering clothes for laundry. In Heather's room, we notice the mirror they still keep in the house. Later, while Janet is in the basement doing laundry, she suddenly feels as though someone is watching her from the shadows. When she switches on the lights, the figure vanishes, leaving her deeply unsettled. Her younger daughters are playing around the house while Janet talks on the telephone. Suddenly, she feels the phone cord being pulled from behind. Assuming it's one of her daughters playing a prank, she scolds them and tells them to go outside. But the house is quiet, the girls are nowhere nearby. Then, an invisible force yanks the phone violently out of her hand, pulling the cord with terrifying force. When she turns toward it, no one is there. Meanwhile, upstairs, the girls are still playing with their dolls. The youngest daughter, Karen, notices her doll is missing and she went to Heather's room while searching for the doll. There the doll is moving without anyone putting the key. She watches as the doll suddenly rises into the air. In panic, she turns around only to see a ghostly figure holding the doll in that mirror's reflection. She was so frightened and screamed. That night, the family gathers for dinner along with the grandparents. Karen recounts what she saw, but everyone dismisses it as her imagination. Only Heather believes her and becomes convinced that the mirror is cursed. Later, Heather discusses with her sister Dawn about the strange events and her suspicion that everything began after the mirror arrived. The next day, the sisters decide to get rid of it. They throw the mirror into the garbage, and the truck crushes it. At the very moment the mirror shatters, Dawn suddenly vomits blood mixed with shards of glass at the breakfast table. At the Warrens' house, the celebration for Ed's birthday party is going on and their daughter Judy introduces her boyfriend Tony, a former cop, to her parents. Ed invites the guests to view his collection of haunted objects, while Tony mingles with the guests. In the room, Judy was alone but she sensed a strange feeling of someone watching. To her horror the Annabelle doll is sitting on a chair staring at her. She closed her eyes and started to hum the song. After a few minutes everything becomes normal. Then Tony finds the frightened Judy who explains the situation and they both talk about the song Lorraine taught her and they kiss. At the garage, Tony has a friendly ping-pong match with Ed and tells the Warren couples that he is going to propose to Judy. He asks for their permission and explains to them, even though they had been together only for 6 months, he feels like Judy is the only one for him. He couldn't wait to marry her. Lorraine warns him about their family, as they were involved in paranormal investigations which leads to danger sometimes. But Tony was firm in his decision which softens Lorraine and she accepts him, but Ed seems conflicted by the talk of marriage as he still sees Judy as his little girl. At that moment, Judy walks in and spots Tony with the ring, which leads Tony to propose to her on the spot in front of her parents. Judy was overjoyed and accepted to marry him. After the party, their family friend Father Gordon tells the Warrens, many families come to the church seeking Warren's help. But due to Ed's declining health, Lorraine gently refuses. Meanwhile at Smurl's family, Heather argues with her father about the strange things happening in their house and warns him to leave this house. But their father, Jack, is not taking their story seriously, unaware of the danger beneath them. That same night, Jack himself witnesses the demonic presence haunting their house. When he tries to call his wife who is sleeping nearby, no voice comes out of him and he starts to float in midair. In the other room, Heather watches the birthday video footage in slow motion, to find out what happened that day of her birthday. She was terrified to spot a ghostly figure standing beside her and blew the candle that day. Suddenly, a man's ghost wielding an axe bursts into the room and attacks her. Everyone in the family was awakened by Heather's scream, and rushed downstairs only to find Heather curled up on the floor crying. The commotion draws the neighbors, and soon the Smurl's haunting becomes a media sensation, with multiple interviews and reports spreading across the news. Meanwhile, Judy is trying on wedding dresses with the help of a seamstress, admiring herself in the mirror. Suddenly, she notices a ghost smiling at her from the reflection. Startled, she stumbled back. The ghost crawls onto her, terrifying her until she squeezes her eyes shut. When she opens them, everything is normal again. But then, her reflection cracks the mirror with a sinister grin, sending Judy into a panic. Lorraine rushes in and comforts her. At the Smurl's home, tragedy strikes again. The grandmother is pushed down the stairs. Father Gordon arrives, while an ambulance takes her away. Janet tells him what happened, and Gordon decides to cleanse the house. He blesses each room with holy water. But, in the basement, to his horror, the holy water evaporates instantly. Realizing the depth of the horror and powerful presence, which is lurking around this house, Gordon rushes back to meet the bishop. While waiting at the reception, he sees the cable nearby slowly moving and the moment he is left alone in that room, he feels the room is turning dark and chilly. Gordon rushes to the door only to see it shut down. We can see the iconic scene of the Conjuring franchise, the cross and the doorknob turning upside down. Watching this, Gordon takes his crucifix to pray. But it starts to burn in flames, as the entity he is facing is more powerful. Suddenly, everything falls silent. Under the entity's control, Gordon takes the cable and hangs himself. Ed was talking to Tony, explaining the haunting objects in their collections and reminiscing about Judy's birth, explaining how she was lifeless for a full minute before being revived. Just then, Lorraine and Judy rush in with devastating news: Father Gordon is dead. At the funeral, Judy feels a chilling presence the moment her hand brushes against Father Gordon's coffin. A wave of dread washes over her, though she remains silent. After the service, the family is approached by another priest who introduces himself as Father Gordon's close friend. While speaking with him, Judy learns that, shortly before his death, Gordon had been in Pennsylvania investigating a troubling case. Later, at the Warrens' home, Lorraine experiences a disturbing vision. While washing dishes, she notices a locket with Judy's photo still inside, lodged in the sink. As she reaches to pull it free, the sink suddenly fills with thick, crimson blood, spilling over the edges. Panic surges through her, but in the blink of an eye, everything returns to normal. The kitchen is clean, the sink dry, and Ed walks in, unaware of what just happened. Sensing something bad is going to happen to Judy, Lorraine rushes outside only to meet Tony, who informs her that Judy has gone to Pennsylvania alone. Tracking her down, the Warrens arrive at the Smurl's house, where Lorraine immediately feels an overwhelming demonic presence. When they spot Judy there, they feel relieved. She explains that at Gordon's funeral, she sensed something wrong, and upon learning his final case involved the Smurl family, she comes here. Ed and Lorraine fear the danger is too great and urge her to return home, but Judy refuses. Insisting that this family needs help and that they are the only ones who can save them, Judy's determination convinces Ed and Lorraine to stay and help, for their daughter's sake. Later, in the Smurl's kitchen, Ed makes pancakes while Tony opens up to him. He recalls the traumatic case that ended his career as a cop. Responding to a domestic violence call, he opened the door only to have a man point a gun at his head and pull the trigger. Miraculously, the gun didn't fire, even though it was fully loaded. Ever since that, Tony feels like somewhere in another world he was already dead. This thought haunts him and he quits that job. Near the staircase, Judy was talking to her mom about their work and how this family feels thankful for their help. Suddenly, they heard a loud thud upstairs and Lorraine went to check it out. Judy was standing alone near the stairs and she spotted Corinne's doll crawling towards her. Upstairs, Lorraine encounters the spirit that is tormenting the family. Guided by her psychic powers, she follows the trail to the basement. There, she uncovers the truth. She finds Ed and tells him about what she saw. This land was once farmland, where a jealous husband murdered his unfaithful wife and her mother with an axe. Their spirits linger, but Lorraine realizes something even darker. An ancient demonic force is manipulating these three souls like puppets to torture the Smurls. Meanwhile, Judy hears her mother calling from above and follows the voice into the attic. There she discovers that cursed mirror, still bearing the old crack. When she touches it, nothing happens. But she sees a message scrawled on the wall in crayon: "Did you miss me?" Horrified, she assumes it is Annabelle's doing and bolts downstairs. But in another room, she hears Karen's voice. Entering, she finds not Karen but the Annabelle doll, twisting grotesquely until it becomes a monstrous figure that lunges at her. Judy flees in terror, tumbling down the stairs. Ed and Lorraine rush to her side as she gasps that something is in the attic. They went to the attic, and are shocked to find the same cursed mirror from their very first investigation in 1964, cracked in the exact spot Lorraine had once struck it. Gathering everyone, Ed explains that this mirror was the object of their first paranormal case at an antique shop, where they encountered a terrifying demonic force. He recalls how it even affected Judy's birth. Heathers also tells them how Dawn and she threw out that mirror which was destroyed by the garbage truck. Yet it recreates itself and mysteriously appears in their attic. When Jack asks about the antique shop owner, Lorraine admits they never went back and don't know what happened to her. They were so young and it was their first experience with the demonic presence back then. But this time, they resolved to end it once and for all, by trapping the demon inside the mirror and sealing it in their occult collection. They prepare to take that mirror from that house, but Judy's health is getting worse. Tony drives out to find any help, but he encounters the ghost directly, which terrifies him and leads to an accident, but he comes out of the car unharmed. Back in the Smurl's house, Ed and Jack move the mirror from the attic to downstairs, but due to the evil entity's intervention they slipped and Jack's legs were crushed by that mirror. Everyone went to help Jack after hearing his scream. Later Lorraine came back, only to find her daughter is possessed by that evil entity. That demon tells Lorraine that they have been waiting for her for a very long time before hurling Lorraine down the stairs. The evil entity that possesses Judy is the mirror demon and it destroys everything in the house. When Ed sees his daughter got possessed by a demon, He feels helpless and tries to talk to her. But Judy attacked him in the chest, which resurfaced the heart problem. Ed collapsed to the ground and fainted. Lorraine wakes up, and to her horror, she was attacked by that ghost man with an axe. At the right moment, Tony rescues Lorraine. Ed takes his pills and stabilizes himself. Lorraine, shaken, realizes the horrifying truth: the mirror demon's true target was never the Smurls, but Judy. That mirror demon tried to take Judy's soul when she was born, but at that time it failed because of divine intervention. So, it waited for decades to lure her with Gordon's death to possess her soul. Hearing this, Ed and Tony run to the attic to save Judy. To their horror, they find Judy hanging by a rope, moments from death. Ed cuts the rope to save her, but Judy lays motionless with no vitality. Ed performs CPR. Lorraine notices the mirror demon smiling, telling her it finally succeeded in acquiring Judy's soul. But just as at her birth, Judy revives, restored by her parents' unbreakable faith. It angers the mirror demon, and it starts to levitate in the air and spins terrifyingly. Ed takes his Bible and starts the exorcism, but that demon is more powerful and sets the book ablaze. Judy is terrified, but Lorraine calms her and tells her that she has the same gift as hers, which will help her face the evils without fear. Finally, Judy fully embraced her clairvoyant gift without fear, and they as a family fought against the mirror demon. Ed and Lorraine's unwavering faith and Judy's gift cracks the mirror when they touch it. Finally, the mirror shatters into countless shards, imprisoning the entity once and for all. Everything ended well, and Tony was slightly hurt. The next day, Smurls send off the Warren family happily. Later, Warren brought the remainings of the mirror to their occult collection and locked it with a warning. The Smurl family lived in the same house after this incident. Moved by Tony's devotion, Ed finally accepts him fully as family. In time, Ed walks Judy down the aisle, and she and Tony marry in a simple, love-filled wedding. In the soft golden light, Ed and Lorraine danced. Lorraine had a vision, and for the first time, she had a glimpse of a peaceful future with her family and becoming grandparents one day. At the end of the movie, Ed and Lorraine write a book about all the haunting cases and investigations while enjoying their retirement with the family. At the post-credit scene, we can see the real mirror and Ed Warren standing before it. They say that the original mirror is still kept locked inside the Warrens' collection with strict warning.